Greetings, people of YouTube. It's Paul here. We're doing another episode of Butt Crack Cycles. If you're a regular viewer, I apologize I didn't have a midweek episode out this week. I've been really busy, and that's not a bad thing, so YouTube had to take a back seat, which is fine sometimes. But yeah, I've got a couple of days here where I'm gonna have some time to work on some bikes and sit in the shop and do some of like the shop talk episodes, and maybe even ride around and do a moto vlog or two. And so y'all should have plenty of content for the next several weeks as I film it all today and the next few days. Anyways, the topic today, what we're working on is I need to get my Ironhead fixed. I'm gonna let this plane go over, then we'll talk some more. Right, so what's going on with the bike is that the last time I had it out, which has been a couple of weeks now, it ran perfectly fine. I rode it for quite a while. I put like 200 miles on it in a weekend. And basically for the first 150 miles of that weekend, everything was great. And then I parked the bike at a bike show, walked around, took some pictures, you know, checked everything out, talked to people and such for a few hours, got back on the bike, and me and my buddy Chris went to go back home, and the bike started spitting and popping and backfiring, and it's spitting back through the carburetor like it was running really lean. So here's kind of what I think is wrong with this. This bike has newer intake manifold boots on it. They have like maybe 500 or 600 miles on them. The weird thing about this though is that after riding the bike messed up for like 20 miles, it decided it wanted to fix itself. Like it was like a light switch. It went from not wanting to idle at stoplights and such. Maybe I won't ride it home like this. To then it was running actually pretty good. In fact, I would say it was running just as good as it always did. And then after running pretty good for 10 or 12 miles, it went back to not running well and coughing and spitting and sputtering when you would twist the throttle. So I'm thinking maybe there's some trash in the carburetor. The insides of this tank is slowly coming apart. I've had this issue before, but the very first thing we're gonna do is double check the intake seals and make sure that they are not leaking. So let's walk over to my building and get the bike out, get the camera on a tripod, get some tools, and get started on fixing this bike. We're gonna start by checking the last thing that was changed on this bike that could have caused this condition, which of course was your intake manifold boots. So without any further ado, let's see what this thing will do. Has been sitting a while. There's probably no fuel in the carburetor. I just turned the petcock on, so let's 2 more on the accelerator pump and see what happens. I'm gonna let this sit here and high idle like this for a few minutes to get it warm, and then y'all will see me next. I'm gonna come back and I'll drop the idle down and see if it'll stay at a low idle, and then that's when we'll go for the starting fluid. Right, so that actually sounds pretty good. It never really seemed like it would rev up based off the starting fluid. Or sometimes they'll kind of like nosedive. The idle will drop significantly when you introduce some outside fuel. This actually seems fine. So it takes throttle just fine, sitting here revving it up, you know, at idle. Obviously it's not under a load, but that's better than it was the other day. Like I said, the other day though, it ran terribly, and then it fixed itself, then it ran great, and then it ran terribly again. Now it seems like it's running good. This is kind of pointing me towards some trash getting sucked into our idle jets, or main jet maybe even. We are around the other side of the bike now. You can see I've got the fuel line removed, and we're just gonna open the petcock and let some fuel drain out. This Gatorade bottle. Don't tell Bobby Boucher.
Gatorade not only quenches your thirst better, it tastes better too, idiot.
You're drinking the wrong water.
And just see, you know, is there any significant amounts of trash in this? Petcock seems like it's flowing well too, so that's another quick test here. Really, that actually looks pretty good. There's a speck of red Gatorade in there that I didn't get washed out all the way, but the rest of this fuel actually looks pretty good holding up to the light. There's not any large amounts of trash or anything in it. I don't really see any trash on the inside of the bottle. Of course, this is just a fairly small sample out of what's in the tank. I am going to go ahead and pull this carburetor off though and double check, make sure our jets aren't partially clogged or that there's not some junk floating around in the bottom of that bowl. So our carburetor is off. I didn't bother showing how to take this off. It's pretty straightforward. You see I've got a little clear plastic pan right here on the floor. I'm just going to dump this thing into it. Normally if you flip them over, shake them around. Same thing, we're just looking for trash. There is actually a little bit in there. It's probably not going to come through on camera, but there's several little small black flecks in that fuel. So, yank the bowl off, see what it looks like, and I bet we're going to find a little bit of trash in the bottom of the bowl. Probably find one of the jets partially clogged. Even though it seems to be running pretty good right now, we might not actually find anything. So I've pulled the bowl off the carburetor, and you see right there, look right underneath the float, like right underneath the float pin. See a couple little black flecks in there? See if this will zoom in. Yeah. There's definitely a little small amount of trash in this carburetor. Pull these jets out next and check them, make sure that they're not clogged. So there's our jets out of the carburetor. I held these up to a bright flashlight. The idle jet definitely has a little bit in it. The main jet looks fine. For those curious, this carburetor's jet is 62-160. I did not jet this. My uncle jetted this years and years ago, and I've had no reason to change it. This bike runs totally fine on this jet set. So for anybody wondering, you know, maybe that's helpful. So the carburetor's all the way back together. It's ready to get put back on the bike. Everything's cleaned out. Before I do that, though, I did want to spend a minute and talk. I'd actually bought two. These are just like cheap small engine inline fuel filters. I was thinking about throwing an inline filter on this thing to try and stop this from happening again, because this is the second time this has happened to me on this bike. This big one is just too big to fit. Like, there's literally nowhere to put this on this motorcycle the way these fuel lines are ran, or rather the way this fuel line is run. I probably could weasel this little small one in there, but I have some pretty big reservations about this. This thing is really tiny, and I get the feeling that it doesn't flow very well, and it probably doesn't take much before this clogs up. It doesn't have a micron rating on it or anything. It literally just is like for a Briggs & Stratton or Kohler engine, you know, on a riding lawnmower. So I don't know. I think for now I'm just going to put it back together the way it was. If you all have any suggestions for like a high quality, good flowing, fairly small form factor fuel filter for one of these bikes, let me know. This bike has 5/16 fuel lines like most of them do. Anyways, let's throw the carburetor back on and fire the bike back up. Alright, so we are coming to the end of my street here, and it's test ride time. I'm pretty excited about this because I haven't ridden a motorcycle in a couple of weeks. The last time I rode a bike was when this one broke. I'm also testing out my new GoPro the same day that this bike started running bad. My camera got broken. I dropped my helmet, I broke the camera, I broke the mount. So y'all let me know what you think about this new camera. Do you think it has better audio or video quality? It's the same microphone, but it's a different camera processing it. And I've also got the field of view set a little bit wider than I did on the old GoPro, just as a test. Again, y'all let me know what you think. Do you like the wider field of view, or do you like it more tight like how it was before? So far so good. Feels fine. We're not spitting and popping and backfiring. When you roll into the throttle, everything seems okay. It's a little chillier than I thought it would be. I probably should have grabbed a light jacket, or at least like a flannel shirt, but whatever. I still need to adjust the clutch on this bike too. It's starting to slip if you really lay into it. For just regular riding around, it's fine. Let's see what it does in this traffic circle here. This is somewhere that the other day it would have really struggled, holding sort of a light throttle position as you run through the traffic circle itself. And then, you know, accelerating out of the circle. That's fine. You can tell it's been a little bit since I rode. I was kind of rusty through that turn in the traffic circle. I did drag the foot pegs eventually, but I was kind of leaning and then coming back up and leaning and coming back up. Looking like I've never ridden a motorcycle before. Oh yeah, it's fine. Back to her usual self. I love this bike. Alright, I'm gonna keep riding the bike just because I can, and why not? It's a nice day. But I'll probably just wrap the episode up here. This is enough riding, at least for me, that I feel like this is probably fine. And I think all it was just some trash in the carburetor. Like I said, if you all have any... Oh my goodness, indigestion. Like I said, if you all have any suggestions for like a small fuel filter, something decent, preferably metal. I don't really want a plastic filter. I'm worried about a plastic filter getting hot and melting. It's maybe a holdover from all the air-cooled Volkswagens I've worked on. I've seen several of them burn down over that. So yeah, if anyone has like a small form factor, high quality fuel filter recommendation, leave it in the comments. I think I would like to find something, instead of just running multiple cheap crappy filters that I have to change every so often. I'd rather just buy once, cry once, even if it's 50 bucks, and something I can leave on there for at least one whole riding season, if not two, and then I'm not having to constantly change. I think that would be ideal, and is really what I'm looking for. So if you have any suggestions there, let me know. Go down here and take a thumbnail pic for the YouTubes, the boob tubes. I like boobs. And yeah, I think we'll probably call it quits on this episode here. I'm gonna go back, got back home after I finished riding for a little bit more, and I'm gonna shoot some more episodes. I'm so behind. Usually what y'all watch is being shot like a week to 2 to sometimes even 3 weeks in advance. But lately I've been so busy that hasn't happened. So there's been some days where I've literally shot an episode, edited it, and published it all in the same day. Or like today, I'm filming this, it's November the 1st, and this episode will go up November the 3rd. And that's not really how I like to do things. It's stressful, I feel rushed and hectic. I really like to have like 2 weeks worth of episodes, so 4 episodes scheduled in a queue on my YouTube channel, and where they'll just publish themselves, and y'all are watching stuff that's a few weeks old. That's much easier workflow for me. But the YouTube and the web store together brings in actually a surprising amount of money every month. It's more than I thought it would ever be. But it's still nothing compared to what my actual full-time gig does, so the videos tend to take a back seat when they have to, which has been lately. Anyways, I'm done rambling. I'm sure y'all are sick of watching me, or listening to me. Probably not sick of watching me ride. People tend to like to watch others ride, but yeah, thanks for watching. I will see y'all on the next episode. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're safe. Hope your families are good. And thanks for tuning in. This looks like a nice spot. I'll take a picture here.